Hello there, I am Tigster2005 of the Prequelgang, and welcome to another episode of Tigster Talks, the show where I talk about stuff by myself. So, recently I watched Avengers Infinity War. Before I go on, major spoilers. This is a movie that you do not want to have any spoilers for, so if you haven't seen this movie yet, do not watch this video, click off, get out. But if you have, then stick around. You might like the video. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, Avengers: Infinity War. This movie takes place after all the previous Phase 3 movies, and it's like it's all coming together basically. So the main villain of this movie is Thanos. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, and basically what he wants to do is he wants to collect all of the Infinity Stones that have been established throughout all of the movies. The concept of the name Infinity Stone, I believe, originated in Guardians of the Galaxy, but the Infinity Stones themselves, they went as far back as Captain America: The First Avenger. The Tesseract that had an Infinity Stone in it, and also some other things. There were 6 of them in total, and one of them was also in Doctor Strange. There was one that was present in Guardians of the Galaxy, of course, and I believe there was one in Thor: The Dark World, but I'm not entirely sure about that one. But whatever, that's not important. What is important is basically Thanos wants to get all of the Infinity Stones, and his plan is one that he explains to Gamora. Basically, he wants to kill off half of all life, so that basically the other half that still lives, basically, so that they can be saved. So what happens was, for example, the example that he gives is that the planet that Gamora is from, before he eradicated all, like, half of that population, that, like, everyone was like starving, searching for like bits of food to get through the day. But then afterwards, everyone was like they had all the food they needed. So like, in a sense, Thanos wants to do this for the greater good, but in practice, well, he's killing people. So no, bad. so. So of course, all of the Avengers, they sort of get together, and then of course the Guardians of the Galaxy are in this movie as well, because, well, Thanos is Gamora's adopted father, so yeah, of course. Um, and mostly this movie, it has a lot of really good action and plot scenes, and of course it's an Avengers movie, so naturally there's going to be like dialogue between all of the characters that is like, it's fun to listen to. And one plot point is that uh, uh, lost my train of thought. Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, they're not on speaking terms because of what happened in Civil War. So Tony was going to call Steve, but he ended up not doing that. Meanwhile, Steve and everyone, and like Black Widow and some other people I forgot, like they were just there, and that they were like just sort of hiding, like Vision and the person from Age of Ultron. I forgot what her name is. I think it was like Wanda or something. I forgot. But anyway, they were there. Although Vision in this movie, like, he didn't really do anything. Like, he was just there because he had an Infinity Stone in him, and that's it. He wasn't like, if you remember him in Age of Ultron and Civil War, like, he was like god tier in those movies. He was like flying everywhere. He was like this artificial intelligence that was like, he was like really powerful. But in this movie, he was just there. He didn't do anything. So That was kind of disappointing. But then also, of course, Spider-Man is also in this movie because, you know, it's Spider-Man. Of course, how could we not include him after? How could they not include him after Civil War and Homecoming? Yeah. Now, one thing that I want to point out is that, okay, well, first of all, in like the first 10 minutes of the movie, Loki gets killed by Thanos, which kind of sad at this point, but like honestly, like what was even Loki's plans at this point? Like in Thor 1, he wanted to be the king of Asgard. In Avengers, he wanted to, like, I guess, send send like forces down to New York and rule over there. But at this point, like in Thor Ragnarok, he was just there, and basically he was like teaming up against Thor, and then he was like siding with Thor, but then he also wasn't. And then here he kind of tries to side with Thanos, but then Thanos kills him. So it's like I don't even get what Loki's plan was at this point. So, like, I don't know. So he got killed. That's I don't know at this point. I would be kind of sad, but at the same time, like, it was just getting ridiculous. Um, and also, speaking of ridiculous, Thor is still the same way that he was in Thor Ragnarok, perhaps even a little bit worse. And by worse, I mean even farther away from what his character was before Thor Ragnarok. Like, you see him making all these jokes that, like, he would never have made in, like, before Thor Ragnarok. And it's just, like, it's such a betrayal of this character to me, because before then, he was, like, my favorite Avenger. This was, it's Thor Odinson from Asgard, and it was, like, and also the hammer, of course, but still. um, if you watch Thor and the Avengers and Dark World and Age of Ultron, and then you watch Ragnarok and Infinity War, you can see the difference. You can clearly see the difference. I don't know, maybe there's an explanation for why he got like this, but I don't know, maybe there was like a chapter missing from what happened to him between Age of Ultron and Thor Ragnarok, but I don't know. For now, I'm just going to complain about it because it's worth complaining about, in my opinion. So he's like with a few of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I believe he was with Rocket, he was with Drax and Groot, if I recall correctly. Meanwhile, no, he wasn't with Drax. It was just Rocket and Groot. Okay, yeah. And then Gamora got kidnapped by Thanos because she knew the location of an Infinity Stone. Quill and Drax, they ended up with Tony and Spider-Man. It's so ironic because two characters in this movie, they're both named Peter, so I kind of have to refer to them separately because they usually call Peter Quill. They just call him Quill, and Spider-Man. We all know him as Spider-Man. Although we could also call him Parker because that's his last name. I don't know. um, so I'm just rambling at this point. This movie was really good. However, I have three major problems with it, and another sort of nitpick with it that's not really a problem, but just something that I noticed that I feel like they couldn't really avoid this, but at the same time, like, I don't know, it's just something I noticed. So the first problem, of course, Thor's character, I already mentioned it, was a problem in Ragnarok. It's a problem here as well. Although here, because Thor's not the main character of this movie, it's not as bad, but at the same time, just no. My second problem is that, or my second and third problems, like, it's very similar, is that two of the characters, they do something incredibly stupid that they could have easily avoided doing, but they chose not to, and it ultimately led to the conclusion of this movie that happened. The first thing that happened was that while Tony, Spider-Man, and Drax were trying to get the Infinity Gauntlet off of Thanos' hand, Quill decided to just get all up in Thanos' face and just start yelling when he wasn't supposed to, and he like woke Thanos up because the character I forgot to mention, I forgot what her name was, she put him to sleep, and yeah, then they didn't get the Infinity Gauntlet off, and yeah, that happened. Also, Doctor Strange was with them. I forgot about that part too. And Doctor Strange, he does something so dumb. I can't even believe that he would do this. So he's supposed to guard the Time Stone. That's like one of the Infinity Stones is one that controls time. He's supposed to like protect it against Thanos. That's literally what he was supposed to do. And he just hands it over. He literally just hands it to him. He's like, yeah, whatever, take it, as long as you don't kill Tony. Like, what? Why would you do that? It's this thing. You're supposed to protect it with your life. You just hand it over. Why? Why? No. It's like I was just in complete disbelief when I saw that. I was just that no. You don't. I shouldn't have to explain why this is so dumb, but whatever. It ultimately leads to the conclusion that it does, and that's Thanos. He has all the Infinity Stones. He snaps his fingers, and basically half of the universe, half of like life, is like it turns to dust, basically. So that's the thing. But before that, there's like a neat little battle on in Wakanda with like Black Panther and some other characters, including Bucky Barnes, because he's back. They healed him. So from what I can gather, like the post-credit scene of Black Panther was like you see Bucky Barnes there, and it's implied that like they actually managed to get the stuff that was in him that was like allowed him to be controlled by like Hydra. They got that out of his system, so now he's actual Bucky Barnes. He's not Winter Soldier anymore. At least maybe I interpreted that scene wrong, because like there was like no dialogue there, but that's what it looked like. So he's here, he's back, and he's one of the people who gets turned to dust, unfortunately. It's weird too, because like at first, if you recall my video about Captain America: The Winter Soldier, like that in that movie, I noted that like I forgot that he even existed because there was no development. But then like the development happened in Captain America: Civil War, and suddenly I actually care about this character. So it's funny how that turns out, because at first he was like unimportant, then he was suddenly important for like the wrong reasons, and now it's like a character that I actually care about. So yeah, there's that. Also, I noticed that like the way it's like set up with like this sort of force field around Wakanda, it kind of looked like the Battle of Naboo from Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, because like they had a similar thing going on with like that force field, and like the outside is like trying to go through it, but in this case it was actually like killing some of them. And of course the battle played out entirely differently, but like I'm just saying that it looked like they were inspired by the Star Wars prequels, and if something is inspired by the Star Wars prequels, that is instant approval from the Prequelgang. So yeah, now let's talk about the ending. Thanos snaps, and all of this happens, and that's the end of the movie. That's like the downer of an ending that is, you know, Avengers: Infinity War. I'm pretty sure that's like a thing that people talk about. I could be wrong about that, but still, this happens. Now, one of the characters who gets turned to dust is Spider-Man. Now, this is probably an Endgame spoiler, because Spider-Man: Far From Home, that movie exists, and it takes place after Avengers: Endgame. And Spider-Man, he dies. He gets turned to dust. He's erased from existence in this movie. So, that means that something has to happen in Avengers: Endgame that brings him back. Now, of course, we know that time travel in the MCU is possible because of the Time Stone. So, this tells me that they used that to go back in time in Endgame to somehow, to like Let's make sure that none of this ever happens, so that Spider-Man lives to be in Spider-Man Far From Home. I'm right, aren't I? Don't tell me in the comments. Don't spoil Endgame for me, but that's my theory. I don't know anything about Endgame, but I think this is how the story goes. Again, I'll see it when I see it, and that movie's like 3 hours long, so yeah. So anyway, that's it. That's it for Infinity War. I still think that original Avengers is better, but you know, this movie was still really good. I really liked this movie. I thought it was fantastic. Might be my second favorite now. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I'll have to think about that one. But there's still 2 movies to watch before I watch Avengers Endgame. The next movie is Ant-Man and the Wasp. So I guess I'll be watching that soon. So thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell. Turn on notifications. Follow us on Twitch and Instagram. Join our Discord server. Keep having the high ground. And if you want, you can answer in the comments. You can pose your answer to the question, why is Gamora?